think it's okay. Is it okay? Okay, with the same Baba's poem, there is a poem by Rumi, which goes like, delves into the profound and paradoxical experience of divine love, showing how true lovers of God are neither bound by worldly rules nor lost in indulgence, highlighting their fearless devotion despite suffering and challenges. These lovers seek nothing but closeness to the divine. Jai Baba. ما در ره عشق تو اسیران بلایی، ما در ره عشق تو اسیران بلایی، کس نیست کس نیست کس نیست چنین عاشق بیچاره که مایی، کس نیست چنین عاشق بیچاره که مایی. بر ما نظری کن، بر ما نظری کن که در این شهر غریبی، بر ما کرمی کن، بر ما کرمی کن که در این شهر گدایی. بر ما نظری کن، بر ما کرمی کن که در این شهر غریبی. حلاج و شانیم که از دار نترسی، حلاج و شانیم که از دار نترسی، مجنون صفتانیم که در عشق خدایی. ما را به تو سریست، ما را به تو سریست که کس محرم آن نیست، ما را به تو سریست که کس محرم آن نیست. گر سر برود، گر سر برود، گر سر برود سر تو با کس نگشایی، گر سر برود سر تو با کس نگشایی. ما را نه غم دوزخ و نه حرص بهشت است، ما را نه غم دوزخ و نه حرص بهشت است. بردار ز رخ پرده که مشتاق لقایی، بردار ز رخ پرده که مشتاق لقایی. ما در ره عشق تو اسیران بلایی، ما در ره عشق تو اسیران بلایی، کس نیست کس نیست کس نیست چنین عاشق بیچاره که مایی، کس نیست چنین عاشق بیچاره که مایی. بر ما نظری کن، بر ما نظری کن که در این شهر غریبی، بر ما کرمی کن، بر ما کرمی کن که در این شهر گدایی. بر ما نظری کن، بر ما کرمی کن که در این شهر غریبی، بر ما نظری کن، بر ما کرمی کن که در این شهر غریبی. ما در ره عشق تو اسیران بلایی، ما در ره عشق تو اسیران بلایی. کس نیست، کس نیست، کس نیست چنان عاشق و بیچاره که مایی. اوتار مهر بابا کیجه.
Now Dr. Venkat is going to sing us the repetition of the
Jai Baba.
Gunakare.
Avatar Meher Baba ki jai. Thanks for a second. I am a sinner, but I am fortunate. That is the. Have mercy on this beggar. In your love, I have become a slave. Like that. That is the meaning.
Yeah. I'm a sinner, but I have a good destiny, or I'm fortunate. Oh God, I'm a stranger, such a stranger. Have pity on such a poor beggar, because I'm enslaved in your love, oh, the only one. And goes on like that.
Yeah, you're only one.
Yeah.
अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय। गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, खुदावंदा गरीबाम बस गरीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम। रहमबर हालेन मिस्किन गेदा कौन, रहमबर हालेन मिस्किन गेदा कौन, के दर इश्के तोवन यकता असीराम, के दर इश्के तोमन यकता असीराम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, खुदावंदा गरीबाम बस गरीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम। रहमबर हालेन मिस्किन गेदा कौन, रहमबर हालेन मिस्किन गेदा कौन, के दर इश्के तोमन यकता असीराम, के दर इश्के तोमन यकता असीराम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम, गुनेगारम व लेकिन खुशनसीबाम। अवतार मेहर बाबा की जय।
This song that Dr. Venkat just sang, it was actually a song that Baba taught Katie Rani when they were in Dehradun. And, Katie was very fond of this song, and she would sing it. She would sing it anytime, we would go visit in Merazat. So it's a beautiful song. And Baba, did a lot of songs in Persian under the name of Huma or Mervan, and they were written, a lot of them in Gujarati, unfortunately, because the Mandali who took those down was Farshid, who didn't know Persian, but she took it in Gujarati. So we are trying, hopefully, to see if we can make the Persian version of that, and everybody can use it. So anyway, with that said, let's get to the time. Oh.
A small formality of that. Meher Baba ki jai. Mr. Farshid Namiranian, today's speaker, do not require any introduction, but still few words that we are really fortunate to hear from him. The first-hand information about Premashram boys, what were their experiences, how they lead their life ladder, and how they exercised whatever Baba taught them, how they lead the life. And his life is quite impressed by the very living of life by Esfandaya Vesali. As Baba says, your life should be an example for others. And exactly in the same fashion, if we see Esfandaya Vesali, how the love penetrates, so much peaceful. So he had close association right from his childhood with Mr. Esfandaya Vesali. And he was instrumental in a recording. In 1975 they started. So from 1990 to 2003, Mr. Farshid Namiranian translated so many talks of Mr. Esfandaya Vesali. Those took place in USA, Los Angeles, California, Myrtle Beach, and India also. And really, it's so fortunate to have all this information. What were their experiences exactly? Because this literature is nowhere available. Because of their efforts, now we can read. He is also a co-writer of the wonderful book, The Boys, which Bob Mossman and Mr. Farshid Namiranian. And it's all about Merashram and Premashram days. After reading Creation and Causes and its history, many questions are there in our mind. So we'll be hearing today, right from him, all the days he experienced, whatever, because in the book we don't read everything. So all our learned persons, readers, so he will be sharing that is which is not mentioned in the book also, beyond the book, and also in the book, and wonderful his days with Esfandaya Vesali, about Abdullah Pakawan, Chota Baba. He is nephew of Khodia Namiranian and Khushru Namiranian. These are twin brothers. And Khushru Namiranian was in Premashram, but Khodia Namiranian, the twin brother, was in Merashram. And they are uncles of Mr. Farshid Namiranian, and also the Khodadad Namiranian. And the wonderful story of Khushru Namiranian tells us, helps us for the forgiveness. It's very difficult to forgive many times. But I hope he will cover that story also today. Khushru Namiranian, his uncle. So we'll hear more from him. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Farshid Namiranian. Jai Baba.
Thank you for such a good, nice, and kind of a chubby introduction. I don't deserve such an introduction. I mean, I am a slave of the master, Meher Baba, but had, a good fortune. I was a beggar and had a good fortune of, Baba sending a Sfandiar to Iran, and my uncles, who were in the ashram with Baba to Iran, so I could grow up with many others. I mean, I was not the only one, with many others, to hear of the school and, the things that happened in the school and the overwhelming love that Baba created in these boys. Such a love. I mean, it's magical love that is hard to even imagine. There is no similar school that could generate such a love in these boys. Let me give you an introduction of how it all came about, and then we go into more details, and then later if you have any question, we can get into those. It starts mainly with, Baba calling for some mandalis. After Baba left Upasni Maharaj, Upasni said, the key is in your hand, and he even gave some of his followers to Baba and said, he has the key. I am nobody anymore. So Baba, came, and he was in Pune. You all know about that. And Baidul, who was a seeker of God, was in Pune actually. He was working there, and he hears about Baba. He says, I got to go, visit him. And goes to Baba and tells Baba, Baba, I'd like to be at your service. And Baba accepts him, but then later Baba sends Baidul to Iran. He says, you go live there and be there and spread my message there, and I will call you when the time comes. So while Baidul being in Iran, he starts, a school. He was teaching a school actually in a village called Jafarabad in Yazd, Iran. And that village is very close to a village that Shehryar, Baba's father, came from. Now, when Shehryar left home at 12 years old or so, he had a brother also. And the brother stayed back in Iran, but Shehryar went in search of God, coming to India. The brother, married, had children, grandchildren, and all that. And one of the cousins, or second cousins of Baba, named Shapur Merdadi, he also came with the 14 boys, because there were 14 boys that Baidul got together and brought them to the school. Now, during the period that Baidul was in Iran, Baba told Baidul, see if anybody is interested. I'm starting a school. See if anybody is interested, bring them, And then Baba also put advertisement in different countries, in different papers. One of the papers that was mainly getting published from Calcutta was called Hablul Matin. Hablul Matin was a paper that was published in Calcutta, but also was distributed in Iran, southern Iran, like Bandar Abbas, in that area. And Chota Baba, Abdullah Pakrawan, actually read that article of Baba, that Baba is calling for a school, and the school is free accommodation, free food, free clothing, everything is free. And anybody who is interested, they can come. So, Chota Baba was not spiritually inclined at all. He wanted to come to the school and get education, become a doctor, and or an engineer or something. And he came. He came by himself, because he was older. He was like 16 years old at the time, and he came by himself. But Baidul, in the meantime, had put the article in the local magazines. But Esfandiar said that he read also in that Hablul Matin magazine the same article, that the Baba is calling for the school. Now, going back, his relation, Esfandiar's relation with Baidul was that Baidul was his mother's uncle, and their house is next to each other. This is Baidul's house, this is Esfandiar's house. And Esfandiar says, when I was 5 years old, my mother would go to Baidul's house, and my mother was a Baba lover. She knew of Baba. There were a lot of pictures on the walls of Baba in Baidul's house. So the mother would go to Baidul's to talk about Baba and all that. And Esfandiar would grab the hold of mother's garment and go with her to the house. And he said, I would look at Baba's pictures, and I was just, amazed with his beauty and all that, not knowing who he is, nothing. I didn't know anything about Meher Baba. But then, as he grew up, he said, I was on the 5th grade. He said, I was on the 5th grade, and I read in this magazine, Hablul Matin, that Meher Baba is giving a free, school, free accommodation, free food and everything, and pays for the travel even. And he said, I quit my school. I said, I'm not going to do school anymore, and I want to go to Meher Baba's school. He tells that to the mother. The mother was very pleased. She wanted that. She was very happy. But the father said, no, I'm not going to send my son to a strange country with some strange people. And the father was very resistant. Eventually, the father agreed, said, okay, if you want to go. Because Esfandiar said, I want to study. If I don't go, I want to study. That's the end of my studies. Finally, the father would go, okay, you go, you can go. So Esfandiar puts 14 kids together, and the 14, my uncles were 2 of them, Khosrow and Khodayar Namiranian, then Esfandiar Vesali, Hassan Mirab, some other guy named Darvish, K. Khosrow Yektai, also, as I mentioned earlier, Shapur Merdadi, who was Baba's second cousin, from Shariar's brother, and a few others. There were 2 Baha'is, even Baha'i Baba lover, or people who came, and a few others which I don't remember their name there, but it's there. No, Alaba didn't come either. Alaba was in Bombay, actually. His parents were from Iran, but he was in Bombay working for his Dai uncle. And he heard about Baba. He said, I want to go to that school. And he came. He came separately, as Chota Baba came separately from Bandar Abbas. But these 14, the luckiest of these 14, I think, was Esfandiar Vesali. What happens, Baidul finally, gets them together and brings them. And there are a lot of incidents, a lot of stories on the way that happened to these boys even coming to see Baba. Like Esfandiar said, I got sick. I was sick to such an extent that I thought I'm going to die on the ship, because they came by ship. And then I had a bad fever and all that, and I told my uncle, because he would call Baidul his uncle also, he was his mother uncle. But then I told my uncle that, I might die. Uncle said, don't worry about it, we'll throw you off the board, But so anyway, but what happened, he had a dream at night. When he slept, he had a dream at night that a white that a beautiful man in white dress came to his dream and touched him, basically. And he said, I got up in the morning. I was all well. And I told my uncle, Uncle, I'm fine. I said, okay, good. So anyway, they come to Mehrabad, and they come to Bombay, then they get a ticket, I guess, train ticket, and finally end up in Ahmednagar's train station, where Baba started his new life later. But anyway, from that train station, Baidul hires a bullock cart. There were no rickshaws, I guess, at that time. So the bullock cart, he throws all the luggages of the boys on the top of the bullock cart. And some of these boys sit on the bullock cart, and they start, coming towards Mehrabad. On the way, it was so bumpy that Esfandiar said, I couldn't bear it, it was so bumpy. I fell, basically came off the bullock cart and was was walking behind the bullock cart. And the other kids also, they couldn't stand it, so they all came. And all 14 of us were, behind the bullock cart, and the bullock cart was carrying the luggage. And we all came, and what happens, the Baidur takes them behind the dharamsala, the existing today's dharamsala, and puts them in line with the height. So the younger ones, like my uncle was probably the shortest and youngest at the head of the line, and then Esfandiar, who was the tallest, at the tail of the line, or at the end of the line. And then Baba finally comes out, Baidur bows down to him, and Baba comes and greets the kids one by one, caresses them, and goes until he gets to Esfandiar. As soon as he gets to Esfandiar, Esfandiar comes to bow down to him. Baba pulls his foot and walks away. And this was like a stab in his heart with a knife. He said, I couldn't bear it. He thought that what a sinner I must be that Baba even didn't wait for me to bow down to him. And this was heartbroken to him, which actually, there is a couplet of Rumi, that said God is in the broken heart. I don't remember the exact couplet, but that's what it says. So that, put him into a lot of turmoil of, why Baba didn't pay attention to me. And finally, the time comes that he said we were waiting for classes to start, and also our uniform. We had a special uniform that Baba had made, had to be made for us. While waiting for that, I was thinking, I really don't want to be here, and anyway, he was heartbroken and didn't know what to do. So whenever Baba would come, he sometimes would play with the kids, waiting for the class, and the class starts. When the class starts, there was a couplet of Sadi was read in the class. Now, because his class was higher, education class, like he was on the 6th grade at the time, Khosrow Afsari, Rao Sahib, Baba named him Rao Sahib, he was also from Iran, another Mandali from Iran. He was, reading from this Bustan of Sadi, and the couplet says that رسد آدمی به جایی که به جز خدا نبیند بنگر که تا چه حد است مقام آدمیت. And the couplet says, man will get to a point that sees nothing except God. So see how high the abode of human being is. And that comparison Sadi makes, because the abode of human being, as Baba says, is way higher than a mosquito, an ant, a cat, a dog, or whatever you want to, because human body, the soul in human body is fully conscious. It has full infinite consciousness, but consciousness of the external, not the internal. And Baba says only the soul in human body can become one with God, because that soul is fully conscious and now can use that full consciousness to find God. But because of the cloud of the sanskaras, the man or the human cannot find God. And unless and until the cloud of sanskaras become thinner and vanish, man is not able to see God. And Baba explains a lot of this, which I don't want to go into details, but that Sadi also revealed that in couplet. And when that couplet was sang to Esfandiar lost consciousness of the world, to the point that he said, I don't want to study anymore, I don't want to become a doctor or an engineer, I want to see God. That's what he was telling himself. And he abandoned his books and everything, and sitting in the class, he would look in the sky and in search of God. He was, as a kid, he didn't know where God is, how he can find God. And then he thought, this is not a place for me to be. I have to go into the woods, to the forest, and meditate and, be there in search of God. He was thinking about that. He said the night that he was planning to run away, Baba comes. Now what happens, Sheikh Khusro Afsari reports to Baba that Esfandiar is not paying attention to his classwork. So Baba comes. And now while Sheikh Khusro, assuming sitting here, and Esfandiar sitting there, facing Sheikh Khusro and looking in the sky, Esfandiar notices that Sheikh Khusro bowed down like that. And he looks back and Baba is right behind him. And Baba, he comes to, bow down to Baba. Baba embraces him, holds him. He said he held me like 15 minutes or so. And he started questioning me. He said, Esfandiar, why don't you study? He said, Baba, I don't want to study. He said, no, tell me why you don't want to study. He said, Baba, I can't study. I don't want to study. He said, why? Do you want me to send you back home to your parents? First he says, I'll send you back to your uncle, because he had an uncle in Bombay. He said, I'll send you back to your uncle there. Esfandiar said, I can't study, send me, whatever. But then Baba, all-knowing, he knows that what to do. He says, I'll send you back to Iran to your parents if you don't tell me why you don't study. And Esfandiar says, if Baba send me back to Iran, then my father is going to, get me involved in the world, and, I have to get married and whatnot. I don't want that. Then he says, okay, Baba, the reason I don't want to study is I want to see God. And then basically, you all know probably the story that, Baba took him to his office, covered himself with a sheet, and Esfandiar was sitting there. For some time, Baba was under that sheet. And Esfandiar said, when Baba went under the sheet, before he went under that sheet, he was beaming, he was, luminous. But when he came out, he was pale and yellow and like, having jaundice and whatnot. So anyway, Baba calls him back, and then the rickshaw that you see in the museum was brought by the Mandalis, and the Prem starts this way. This was the first Prem boy, because there was no Prem. It was all Meher Ashram in the beginning. But Baba, when the rickshaw comes, Baba goes up the rickshaw, sits there, and then asks Esfandiar to go up. Esfandiar comes up the rickshaw, but is standing in front of Baba. There was no place for him to sit. And the Mandalis are pulling it, and the lands are rocky and whatnot, so it's wobbling, and Esfandiar is almost about to fall. That Baba says, hang on to my hand. So Esfandiar is holding Baba's hand, and they go up the hill. They go up the hill, and the journey starts. Here, Baba tells Esfandiar to get off the rickshaw, and the Baba comes down, and now he's looking at Esfandiar and says, did you see how bumpy the road was? And Esfandiar says, yes, Baba. He says, that's how the spiritual path is. It's bumpy. And if you haven't held on to my hand, you would have what? Fallen off. Esfandiar said, yes, Baba. He says, no, if you obey my orders, you won't fall off, and I'll show you God. Baba tells him that. Now Esfandiar said, I didn't know Baba himself is God. But Baba said, I will show you God. And then Baba then instructs him, keep silence from now on. Don't think of anything except me. Now, there are points here. There are beautiful points here that we should pay 100% attention to it. One is keep silence, repeat my name, and then think of me and nothing else. I am your father, I am your mother, I am your brother, I am your sister, I am your everything. Think of me and nothing else. And he gives those instructions to him, and he says, you stay up the hill, and this is your place you stay. And, Baba shows him where to stay, what to do, and gives him, meditation lessons, which started by repeating his name first. And goes on like that. Now, because of our limited time, I'm going to stop here, but this was the beginning of the pre-ashram. And then other kids developed longing for God, because Baba would discourse all the boys, no matter what, in pre-ashram or Meher Ashram, in the evenings, in the water tank, in the museum first. And then Baba was in seclusion under the tomb. There was a pit, and Baba was seclusion in there. And then he would basically dictate things through a little window to the mandaris, and the mandaris would convey messages to the kids. Now this went on for a period of time, and the Creation and Its Causes, the book, Creation and Its Causes, is the outcome of all these discourses. And such a magnificent discourses that, you can read and to see what Baba had told these kids. It was, it's mind-blowing in a way that, Baba tells them all the details of what the creation is, how it came all about, what is the mental plane, what is the subtle plane, what is the, gross plane, and how the gross came into existence, how, basically all the things formed, and the soul of every item, how it's all basically there, why it's there, and why the sanskara is there, how it can be cleaned up, how the mind works, and how the mind should be turned, backward, or turned towards God, and a lot of these. So you can read that book, but those were the discourses. It's beautiful in a way. Now, I know Dr. Venkat talked to me a little bit earlier about that why do you think Baba gave all these, magnificent high-level discourses to these boys who were maybe 7 to 16, 17 years old? And my thought was that, they came from different backgrounds, from different religion, from, different nationalities, all of those coming together there. And these boys, in the beginning, they didn't know anything about God. Some are Muslim, some are Zoroastrian, some are Baha'i, some are Christian. And to them, because of their religion or nationality, some of them might think, oh, I am higher than this person, or I am higher than this person. But Baba gave them a big picture. Hey, you're all equal. You're all basically are God within you, and there is no one above anybody else. The God is within you, and we are all equal. And he gave them those discourses. At the end of this discourses, if you see, all Baba emphasizes is that forget about what I said. Don't even worry about it. Don't even bother with your mind to think about it. But create love. Create love. Love. And Svander would emphasize sometimes, and I didn't know what he's mostly is talking about, where it's coming from. But now that I read the Creationist Causes, I know where it's coming from. So Baba would emphasize them, create love, create love. And then Baba would explain to them how to create love. First he said, you repeat my name, and or even Yazdan or Allah, he would give them in the beginning that, because they didn't know who Baba is. But we asked Asfander, how did you know then who Baba is? He said, while he was talking and all that, after he talked I said, he couldn't be anybody except God. He's God himself. And he was, it was revealed to him that he was God. So he would repeat Meher Baba's name, Baba, Baba. And he would meditate. The way he would meditate was interesting. He said, I meditated on Baba's picture. He said, Baba had instructed us to look at a picture that we like of him and try to focus on him, try to focus with our third eye. First we look at that picture, and then we close our eyes, we image that picture. And then we keep that there as long as possible and try not to, not have the thoughts to disturb it. And then you repeat his name inwardly. And that slowly wipes out a bunch of sanskaras that are not supposed to be there. And eventually the path will open and one can experience the things of the path. And then he would talk about the experience of the path. Baba had announced at the time that he was on the third plane of consciousness when he was in Premashram. And when he came back, I'm not going to get to that, but let's stop where he was on the third plane and how he did the meditation, because that's very important for all of us. I mean, one thing, I should mention, and it's there, is that the Prem Ashram was not only for those selected boys. Baba did that for those selected boys to do a universal work, a universal Prem Ashram. And that universal Prem Ashram is like the new life ongoing. So one can be in the Prem Ashram even now, because God's presence is always there. Baba dropped his body, but he is within every one of us. And this is the thing that we have to know and concentrate on, because his presence is there. There is a couplet of Hafiz, it says, Huzuri gar hami khahi, azu ghafil masho Hafiz. He says, oh Hafiz, you who want his presence, never be absent from him. So if you are never absent from him, if you love him, if you keep him as your constant companion, constant friend, then he is there. He is there with you, and you can be in the Premashram. That is the Premashram that Baba wants every one of us to have. And, that's how we can be in there. So anyway, Esfandiar's teaching, going back to what Baba told him, was to repeat his name, to concentrate on him, and then keep that going. So we would ask Esfandiar sometimes, in a day, what would you do? What was a day in Premashram? And he said, well, we would wake up early in the morning, try to do our work, which our work was to, concentrate on him. And also sometimes they would sing with the other boys, Hari Paramatma, God, Yazdan, Ahur, Maz, who, they would sing those names, all of them together. So, Hari Paramatma, Allahu Ramaz, God, Yazdan, who, Hari Paramatma, Allahu Ramaz, God Yazdanhu. So they would go on like that sometimes, and then they would repeat Baba's name, image him. Imaging Baba was his concentration. Nis bar lawh dilam juz alef qamat yar. چه کنم چه کنم درس دیگر یاد نداد استادم. This was a couplet always he would repeat. And when he would repeat that, he would break my heart. Because he would say, there is nothing on the surface of my Dell or my inner being except the image of the beloved. And then he would say, what can I do? My beloved didn't teach me anything else. So that's how it was, you know, that's the story of a Premashram boy. And he kept that image. At the end of his life, he said that 2 words, he told me 2 words, and he said, you can tell those 2 words to anybody. Tell them and explain to them what that means. Dardel, Badel. He says, and it's very simple. Within your Del, your heart, your inner being, Del, you know, in Hindi, I guess, means your inner being. Within your inner being and with your inner being. What he meant was, within your inner being, or in your Del, you image Baba, and then also love him within your inner being. You shouldn't use your mind. He said, let the mind go. You just concentrate on him, bring to your inner being, and love him there. And love him there. And love him there. And then he said, once you have his image, grab it, hold it there, don't let it go. And then keep going, until maybe mind sometimes interferes, but then the practice, he said that you have to practice. Once you practice and practice and practice, it becomes natural for you. And then the path will open, you will hear melodies that you had never heard, you basically smell fragrance that you had never felt before, and you go on, which, you know, Baba explains in God Speaks what the inner experiences are, so we're not going to get into that. But let me stop right here, because there are so many stories, not only with this boy, with other boys too, and I know some, I don't know some, but I like to stop here. I don't know what the time frame is. We have 30 more minutes? Okay. I like to see if anybody has any questions, because that might, you know, shed some more lights into what needs to be said. Anybody any question? Oh, okay. Okay. Let me see what that question was there, and then we get to that. Yes.
You said that he collected the 14 boys. Were they all from the same area? Because they obviously were of different religions.
They were not all from the same area, but they were all from the same village and country. They all came from Iran, all these 14 boys, and they were all from Yazd, but different villages in Yazd, like it was Khorramshahr, Baba's father's village, and then Nusratabad, my uncles came, and then Jafarabad was Isfandiar Vesali, and then what is next to Jafarabad, Marjan? Oh, Majumar, Hassan Mirab and Darwish, and then Mazro Kalontar, another. So basically different villages, these 14 boys came. And it's all his plan anyway, because these boys had a link with him, and they were born in a poor country and poor village that the fathers or the parents were willing to give them, because they couldn't afford to give them themselves a good education to the boys. So when this ad came, they said, oh yeah, we're going to send our kids to this school. They get good education and come back. They didn't know what's going to happen. So Dr. Menket asked a good question about a visit that Esfandiar Vesali had in 1953, after a long time. Now let me give you a little story before I go to that, so you know what is happening. Baba visited Iran in 1924 before he started his silence. In 1924, he went with some of the Mandalis. He didn't progress too much into Iran, but he was in Iran. Some of the Mandalis had brought some books and lockets and whatnot, and the government of Iran didn't release those, capture those, and said, no, these are against Islam, and we're not going to let you take in the country, and they destroyed them. So Baba didn't like that. And even Baba told the Mandalis, why did you all do that? Why did you even bring it without my permission? So anyway, and a couple of the Mandalis, they got sick, and they couldn't go into Iran, because Baba had sent for Baidur to come and receive them and take them, through the Bandar Bushehr. I think they were in Bandar Bushehr. Go to Isfahan and go to Yaz and all that. But because the Mandalis got sick and the call came that there is a ship going from that port towards Bombay. So Baba said, we'll take it. So that was the end of the 1924 trip. Baba came back. Then the boys go there. Prem Ashram is basically at its zenith. And at the zenith of all these, Baba closes the school and tells every boy, and he's sending them home, you go, like Esfandiar, Baba told him, you go to Iran, I am there with you, and try to spread my message of love and truth in Iran. And the same to my uncles and other boys. So they come home, and Baba goes for the second time to Iran in 1929, a few months right after he closed the school. He goes there. He didn't want the boys, to be heartbroken. And he goes there. He has a nice trip through Isfahan and then Yazd. And then in Yazd, he stays not only he visits the house of all these boys, also he stays in Baidur's house in Jafarabad for 4 days, for a few days, I'm not sure. Don't take me on the days. But he gives darshan also to a bunch of people in Jafarabad. But then one of the wealthy Zoroastrian or Parsi Iranian had a beautiful mansion in the city of Yazd, which is still there actually. And the beauty is that that mansion is closed. Nobody can go there, but it's there. Baba is protecting it for some reason, because his presence is there. Some people went and they were lucky. The caretaker opened the door and they went there and took some pictures and whatnot. And they felt so much of Baba's presence there. And nobody lives in there anymore, but the caretaker only lives there and takes care of them. But anyway, Baba stays in that mansion for 4 days and invites the kids to come and visit him. So every day the kids will go and stay with Baba for the full day. Unfortunately, there is not a, account of all the details of what happened between Baba and the boys and all that. But from what my uncle or Esfandiar said, they were there and enjoying Baba's presence and Baba's company. And that trip, Chota Baba was with Baba. Chota Baba was on the 6th plane of consciousness. There's no joke that if he had dropped his body anytime, he would have been one with God. He's with Baba, but he says, Baba, I want to stay back. I don't want to bother you anymore. I want to stay in Iran. And Baba, with tears in his eyes, he says, "You come with me. I want to take you to the West. Why do you want to?" He said, "No, Baba, I've given you so much trouble. I don't want anymore. I want to stay here." Baba says, "Okay, stay here under this circumstances. If you want to keep your, keep your experiences, don't speak, don't touch money, and have nothing to do with women." Those 3 instructions Baba tells him to do. And anyway, I mean, a lot of you might know this story, but anyway, I don't know why I ended up here, but I'm going to stop here. If later on we have time, I will give you the story. But let's go back to the story of 1927. Esfandiar, after this visit of 1927, goes back to visit Baba in 63, I'm sorry. So that many years, 27 years, something like that. He didn't see Baba. He wanted to see Baba all the time. He would say, "I would write to Baba," and Baba would write back through either Araba or Baidul that, or they would write back to him that Baba is in great seclusion. He doesn't receive anybody. You can't come now. When the time comes, Baba will let you know. So in 1962, in the East-West gathering, Baba sends a message that you can come, 62 Darshan. He wanted the East and West to come, East-West gathering. Now, East-West gathering, my father in the meantime had built up love for Baba, and he and his brothers go in 62 to see Baba. Then again, 65, my father and my aunt, my grandmother, and a bunch of other relatives, they all go to see Baba. And there is a video clip of them also, which is lucky I see them and I remember them. But anyway, in 62, when the letter comes that you can come and see me to Esfandiar didn't have any money. All he had was an orchard of cherry trees, small orchard, maybe from what I remember, as big as this hall. So not very big, and maybe 20 to 30 cherry trees. And he would say every year that I wanted to, get some fruits from these and sell, the frostbite would kill all the fruits, all the blossom, and I wouldn't get really a good crop, and I couldn't really make any money. And when I write this to Baba, Baba writes back through Baidul that go to every tree this time and tell in front of every tree that this year I want to go to see Meher Baba, and you have to give ample fruit so I can sell and go to see Meher Baba. And he goes. He takes the Baba's order and goes to every tree that you need to give me a lot of fruit so I can sell and go to see Meher Baba. Again to the next tree, to the next tree, to the next tree. And then he says, the trees blossomed. It was full of blossom, beautiful white blossom. And he says, I knew that Baba's will be done. And I borrowed money against that, against the guarantee of the trees giving fruit. I borrowed money and I went. He said, first I was going overland. I went to, don't remember the city there, but the bridge had washed by flood. So I purchased a one-way ticket to Bombay, and from there I flew. I flew to Bombay and went to see, from Bombay with the train I went to Pune, and there I went to see Baba. Now Baba received me and he said, when I was going to see Baba, the couplet of Hafiz came to my mind, and I was reciting that within myself and going. It was ما بدین در نپی حشمت و جاه آمدیم از بد حادثه اینجا به پناه آمدیم، رهرو منزل عشقیم و ز سرحد عدم. تا به اقلیم وجود این همه راه آمدیم. Anyway, it goes on and on like that. I don't remember maybe the most of it. But he said, when I was reciting that and going to Baba, after I bowed down to Baba, Baba had me sit right next to him. So I sat next to him. And he said, like the old days during the premation when Baba would come, I sometimes would massage Baba. As a kid, would massage Baba's feet. So I started massaging Baba's feet. And Baba liked it. After some time he said, and then Baba starts talking to him through Baidul. He was saying, I'm very happy with you. Baba was telling Esfander, I'm very happy with you. And Esfander suddenly thought that if Baba would say, I'm pleased with you, it would have been even better. And Baba says, I am pleased with you. So he had a great visit, and then after the second day, Baba says, now you stay with the Mandali, eat with the Mandali, and be with the Mandali. Stay here. And then how are you going to go back? Svender said, I'm going to get a ticket and go back. He said, okay, be here for 1 week and then go, work out your ticket and go. He said, okay. Anyway, he goes to Bombay. The ticket was not ready because the government of India had told them that your ticket should come from Iran. You can't buy a ticket from here. And Aloba at the end of this visit says that don't go without any message. So bring the message to us, what you do with your ticket. So he said, well, I'm going to go bring the message myself. So he goes back to Baba and says, Baba, it didn't work out. I got to get a ticket from Iran and it's going to take some time. Baba said, okay, you stay. Anyway, goes back and forth a few times and stays there for 27 days. Eventually, Baba is fed up, says, you go and don't come back, okay? You go to Iran somehow. So he says, I went, and the ticket agency said, don't worry about it. You give me the, rupees, I give you a ticket. Once you are on the plane, nobody can return you back. So go. They will find out that you bought it from here, but they won't find out. They can't get it back. How can they get it back? He says, okay, I made the risk and bought the ticket and I left. He said, I came home and the cherries had color, ripened. And he said, that was the time I was taking truckloads of cherries to the market. He said that my cherries were the best cherries in the market. The cherries of the other people in the area had been frostbitten. Nothing had happened to my cherries. And they were fighting in the market to get my cherries. He said they bought the cherries. I paid for all my debts, and also it was enough for another year of my living there. And I remember even he was taking a box of cherries to every Baba lover's home. And I remember having those cherries at the time. They brought it there. So this was his faith to Baba, that he is taking care of all his expenses, and he paid off his debts and all that. Such a faith and such a love. If you have that love for Saint Francis, if you have that love that Saint Francis had for Jesus, not only will you realize me, but you will please me. So that is the love we are all searching for. And it's easy to find but it needs work. The problem is the cloud of the sanskaras. Hafiz has another couplet that says, چهره یار ندارد نقاب و پرده غبار ره بنشان تا نظر توانی کرد. He says the image of the beloved, the beauty of the beloved does not have a veil or a mask. You have to settle the dust of the path to see. So the problem is the dust of the path. The sanskaras that we have accumulated through journey of the soul from being an electron or rock all the way to human being, ages and ages. And then in human being, Baba says, 8,400,000 human body, a soul has to capture until realizes God. So you can see how much sanskara has accumulated. And all of this has to be spent, has to be unwound for the soul to realize God. But how lucky we are who have such a direct link with the avatar. That shows many things. One is that we have shared a lot of these sanskaras, and that's why we hear his name. We hear his call. We pay heed to his call. We come to him. He brings us to him. We don't go to him because we have a link with him. He brings us to him. So the beauty of it is that a lot of these sanskaras, the cloud is gone, but it still is there. Still not clean, because otherwise we would have been one with him. But we can make it cleaner by making that effort of loving him, remembering him, and try to make that love and remembrance constant. It has to be constant. Through your work, you can remember him. Through your travel, you can remember him. Through whatever your daily life is, you can break away from and remember him and focus on him. And until it becomes you get addicted to it. It's like those who smoke, they get addicted to the smoke. They have to smoke it. I mean, it comes unconsciously. They have to smoke. So it's the same way. Once you get addicted to him, then it naturally comes, and it becomes natural, and the path will be open. The path will become open, and one will feel the closeness to him. The intuition becomes so high that the soul can feel things without even has happened. He will see, he will find, he will feel the future. And slowly the path will open naturally, and one can become one with God. So, getting back to Esfandiar, he was on the sixth plane of consciousness when he left his body. So for us who knew him, unfortunately, he's not coming back from what Baba had said in the Creationist Causes, that the sixth plane saint, when drops his body, becomes one with God. Finished. Now, the question came the other day, why Chota Baba, who was on the sixth plane of consciousness, has to come back again? The reason being, he disobeyed Baba and basically lost that consciousness. And he has to come back for how many more lifetime, only Baba knows, to become a conscious soul again and to become a sixth plane soul. That only Baba knows. So that's why he has to come back. Chota Baba has to come back. So with that, I think if anybody has any small questions or, yes?
You said about the Chota Baba Abdullah Bakrawan that he gained sixth plane consciousness.
Right.
And then he disobeyed Baba's orders, 3 orders.
Right.
So his experience of the sixth plane he lost.
Right.
But in God Speaks, it is specifically mentioned that once a wayfarer goes to the sixth plane consciousness, it doesn't come down.
Yes, very good question. But here is the thing, here is the catch. Always I put it this way because it's easier for us to understand. My father is wealthy. He's wealthy. He gives me a fortune of his wealth. He says, son, you have so much money, enjoy it. But under these circumstances, don't gamble, don't invest in this, and don't do this, and you will keep your wealth, even it might become more. The son disobeys the father, goes gambles and, do whatever he wants, and next thing you know, he loses the whole thing. Now he is poor. He lost everything. He has to work back and make that wealth. Now, is he going to be successful in making that wealth? I doubt it. Now, the other point is that Baba also has mentioned about the souls falling back, if the circumstances don't work out. Even in the creationist causes, Baba talks about souls falling back from sixth plane to fifth, even down to second, but they can work back and come back to the same plane. Now here, Chota Baba gave him the wealth of the sixth plane consciousness, and he told him, this is how you can keep that wealth. But he disobeyed and lost that wealth. Because he didn't have the experience of the sixth plane when he dropped his body, he has to come back again. He has to come back again and back again and back again, who knows how many times, only Baba knows, to get rid of all the cloud of the sanskaras, because that's what he said. He said, now a darkness is covering me. And he even himself said, I don't know how many lifetimes I have to come back to get my consciousness back. Yes. Yes. Was any question here or? Yes.
Was Esfandiar here in 1997, 1998? Was he here at Mehrabad?
He was here, yes.
I met him.
Yeah, he was.
And I remember the story. I thought it was apples, not cherries, so I've straightened that out. But as you started us so far back with the boys in Iran, I thought,
Yeah,
how could I possibly have met him?
Yeah, after the Baba dropped his body, after basically the 63 darshan that he came also 69 darshan that, Baba had dropped his body. He came there. And in the 70s, 78, 79, I was with him. He came here. And then again, the last time, I think it was 2004 or 2? Something like that, yeah. That was the last time that he came.
Yeah, my question is, did Baba say about Esfandiar, he is in sixth plane? Did Baba say something about it?
Okay.
And how you know about it?
I'll tell you in a minute. I'll tell you in a minute. That's a beautiful question, and it's got a good story behind it. First of all, let me go back to myself. I was in America, studying, and I read that in the Best of Glow, that Esfandiar, Baba had said Esfandiar was on the third plane of consciousness when he was in Premashram. And then I read in God Speaks that a soul on higher planes of consciousness can bring other souls to their own level. So with that, I came to see him. My sister called from Iran that he and Esfandiar want to come to India, and I should come, to visit them and also translate for Esfandiar and him and her, basically. So it was late 79, early, or 89. Yeah, late 89 or so. And I came with this question in mind, that, he was on the third plane of consciousness. If no higher than that, he is at least on third plane of consciousness. So he should be able to bring other souls to his own level. So I come with this question that, hey, why don't you bring me to your own level? So here the situation is this. We are in Dharamsala because he liked the Dharamsala, that was his school. So, there were beds there, and he's taking the front bed, I'm taking this bed across each other. And as usual, from childhood, he had taught me, how to meditate. So we were sitting in meditation, remembering Baba, and after some time, we both come out of it, and he is in a cheerful mode, and I had this question. I suddenly said, this is a good opportunity, let me ask him. I said, Amu, I heard that, Amu means uncle, I would always call him Amu. Amu, I heard that you were in Premashram on the third plane of consciousness, and I don't know what plane you are now, but also I read in God Speaks that Baba said any soul on higher planes can bring souls to their own level. Why don't you bring me to your own level? Nothing to lose, right? You can ask. So anyway, do you know what he said? He put his hand in his pocket like that, and what he would do, sometimes he would bring pistachio and raisins and all that together, like, like something to chew on. And then he would share it with Muhammad the Masked. They were very buddies, Muhammad liked him. He would sit there and, they would give some of that to Muhammad. Muhammad would laugh, cheer up, and they would eat. And then he brought some of this and said, it is not like this that I put this in your hand. You have to work. And then, not only I asked, what do you mean by work? Also, what he said at that time, he said, now that Baba has revealed my identity through you, I should speak. Because he never, before that, he never talked about his experiences of the past. He never talked about what plane he is or anything like that. But here I caught him, so he said, now that Baba revealed my identity through you, I should speak. And then his first talk was behind where Muhammad was there, the New Year building, 48 building. So he started talking, and he talked about the time of the Premashram, his experiences and all that. And anyway, he didn't bring me to his level, but but he showed me how I can work on it to bring myself to that level. And the way was, as I mentioned earlier, it was the way of the Premashram, was the way of repeating his name, concentrating on him, imaging him within our del, and loving him within our del, within our being, within our, existence. So that's how it started. Now, going back to Zara's question regarding how do we know he was on the sixth plane, he had broken his hip in Iran, and his wife also had broken her hip. And he wakes up in the middle of the night, the wife is crying to go to the bathroom, he couldn't do anything. The son, he calls his younger son, he was sleeping in the back room. He calls him, Parviz, get up. Parviz is sound sleep, and he doesn't get up. So Esfandiar says, gosh, what am I going to do? In that, he says, I wanted Baba's help. So I started just meditating and remembering him and forget about the external items. He said, I started thinking of him and thinking of him and loving him to the extent that I felt infinite power in myself. He said, through that love, I felt infinite power. And then, through that infinite power, my eyes were open. I saw a book on the shelf. There was a book on the shelf where he was. And he said, I'm going to use my power, see if I can lift the book off this shelf. So he said, I tried to lift the book off the shelf, and I couldn't do it. The Master will protect you on the fourth plane of consciousness, not to go so intensified that I felt myself in the ocean of love, flowing in the ocean of love, and basically a shoreless ocean of love. And that showed Baba pushed him from the fourth into the fifth plane of consciousness, which is divine love, divine infinite love. On the fifth planar, all has is divine love. And one day, this is almost the last years of the life, he would sometimes in his talks, he would say, I sometimes feel that I am one with Baba. And but it's not permanent. Then we would ask him, why is not permanent? I mean, if you feel one with Baba, then you're one with Baba. Why is not? He says, the problem is the sanskaras. Some of the leftover sanskaras pulls me back. So I can't be there, stationed there. I feel it, but I'm not there. And then what happened, one day I was kind of, got jealous through some other external factors that I felt, why am I so close to him? I should be closer to Baba or something like that. And I read this couplet to him, the couplet of Hafiz that says, ورنه لطف شیخ و زاهد گاه هست و گاه نیست. بنده پیر مغانم که لطفش دائم است ورنه لطف شیخ و زاهد گاه هست و گاه نیست. And I told him, Amu, what does that mean? بنده پیر مغانم که لطفش دائم است ورنه لطف شیخ و زاهد گاه هست و گاه نیست. He said, that's what it means. That's what it is. That's what it means. He says, I am the slave of the Pir Mogan, which is the beloved, which is the perfect master. I am the slave of the master who has his grace continuously, who gives his grace continuously. But the grace of a Pir means somebody who is on the path, sometimes is there, sometimes is not there. Because I felt, disheartened with him, I said that couplet, and that's what he said. But then what happened, we were in Myrtle Beach, and I am kind of helping him go up the stairs in Dilruba, those who know where Dilruba is or have been to Myrtle Beach, Kitty and Elizabeth's house. They were, they were housed us there. So I was helping him to go up the stairs, and I was joking. I don't remember what kind of a joke, but I was kind of playing mischief, let's put it this way. And he looked back like that to me and he said, you don't want to mess around with a six-plane saint like that. That's what directly he told me. And that was it. I said, forget it, I'm not going to mess around anymore. So he merged. And Baba had told him that he will be merged. So, Baba had told him that I will show you God. And that was it. He merged at the end. merge into, divinity. Yeah, merge into the divinity of God.
Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Meher Baba.
You were talking about inner journey and then you stopped. So could you please elaborate on that? Could you explain more about his inner journey or experiences more?
The inner journey is something really not
I understand that.
It's not a strange thing. The inner journey is not a strange thing. We shouldn't take it as a strange being or as a strange thing. It's so natural to the soul. But unfortunately, because of the cloud of sanskaras, that inner journey cannot be experienced. And once the cloud of the sanskaras are wiped away, the soul becomes conscious of the inner journey. And Baba explains those in God Speaks, the soul who goes on the second plane of consciousness, experiences, fragrance, the melody and music with the inner ear. These are not external. It's all internal now. That's why it's called inner journey. And then as the soul progresses to the third plane of consciousness, these experiences become even more, and a third plane soul can even raise, birds or animals and all that who are dead. And then, the fourth plane of consciousness have infinite power that can create, planets and whatnot. But over there, in that plane, the soul cannot stay in that station too long. And those souls who don't have any perfect master, they might fall all the way back to the Stone Age. Basically, their consciousness crushes, because if they do something wrong, their sanskaras, their karma, causes their consciousness to crush, and that's why they become a stone. And they have to basically come up with the journey again. But those who have perfect masters, they don't let them use or abuse their powers. And that's what happened to Svandur. Baba used him, blocked his power, not to use it, but to love him. He could love him. So he used it to love him and become even past that fourth plane, become fifth plane. The fifth plane saint has the pure divine love. The pure divine love is absolute in that fifth plane. Unfortunately, some of the sanskaras still persist, even in the fifth plane and sixth plane. The sanskaras of lust and anger, which are the worst enemies of the soul, persist even on those planes. And then when the soul goes onto the sixth plane, these become less and less, and then, once they kick the bucket, even if they are not one with God at that time, they become one with God. So that's the inner journey. But bliss of the closeness of the beloved always with them, and the bliss becomes more. And the person in the sixth plane, the bliss is so much that the longing is so much that I had seen a Svandur crying like crazy sometimes. And I would say, Amma, what's wrong with you? Do you have physical pain? What is going on? He wouldn't answer, because he had the longing with the beloved, but was not able to be one with the beloved, like a fish out of water, basically. So those are the experiences. Baba explains in God Speaks. I don't want to go through details.
It is all mentioned in God Speaks, but I just wanted to understand his inner journey.
Oh, his inner journey,
yes.
yeah,
Anything specific or...
Yeah, I explained his inner journey on the third plane when he was in the Premashram. He would always say, I smell fragrance that you never can even smell in the world. I see light, and I see also I hear the music, and and all that. And sometimes he would say, when my experiences got better, I would see all the planets come out of me.
Oh,
As he would experience, that the stars are coming out of me. And then, the fourth plane and fifth plane I explained earlier. So, those
thank you. Thank
but
you
the
so much.
soul who goes with the perfect master, the soul is stations on the planes, not on the skies. The plane and the sky is different. The plane is like being in the station and looking at the city from a distance. So you don't get all the experiences of someone who goes into the city and see all the glamour. The master doesn't want you to get stuck with the glamour of the city. He keeps you away, he shows you some of the glimpses of the planes, and then lets you pass through, go to the next plane. But those who don't have a master, they end up in the city and they get stuck in the glamour of the city, and they might be there for ages and ages.
Thank you so much.
Jai Baba. I think
Jai
the time
Baba.
is
Jai Baba.
finished, and I appreciate everybody coming, beautiful questions, beautiful souls, and we are all in the same boat, journeying together, and we are helping each other. And let's love him to the most possible. That's Isfander said. Let's love him to the most possible. So with that, we say the beloved prayer and end the meeting. Beloved God, help us all to love you more